Alrighty, it looks like we're live. We're live at Real Fridays. I'm Rick Rock, the founder of Real Friday, along historically with Brock Cassidy and Jeremy Potter. We really, the genesis of this podcast, James, and you remember this from the time you were on this in the first quarter, was really to have kind of a fairly, unscripted conversation that is content rich, that industry professionals have all the time, right?
Yep.
It's just not recorded. Right. And oftentimes at conferences, we come away with snippets of information and nuggets of what's happening in the industry, but they're never captured. Right. Those conversations, those fly in the wall conversations are never captured. And oftentimes during those conversations, there's pushback, there's challenges, there's a real a rigorous conversation around like what's happening, a no BS kind of perspective. And so when we started this, people really enjoyed it, from investment banks to real estate agents to mortgage companies, executives, mostly mortgage CEOs and leaders within mortgage companies are the dominant audience. And then it's loan officers 2, real estate agents 3. And we get a lot of actually investment banks and other organizations looking to invest in mortgage. But I love the fact that James Hooper and the CRO of Redder is back on the show. How are you doing, man?
Good. Well, it's good to see you on this bad boy. I know we have since we've last chatted. I mean, I've seen you in person. You're like on the trade show, convention run like I am. I think I saw you at Housing Wire down in Austin.
The gathering.
Maybe we can chat a little bit about that. Then at the NBA secondary in New York, that madness up there. But it's been interesting, especially with rates and the war and everything that's going on. Right. And we're doing a lot of great things here over at Redder, but, being at those conventions, Housing Wire, the NBA, most recently, we hear this all too often now. I think Housing Wire, the conversation was a lot about AI and what that's doing at basically the operational functionality of manufacturing loans. And my experience, and your audience does as well. I mean, I'm 27 years on your side of the house, right? So 8 months ago, I flipped the switch and came over to Redder, and it's just interesting, kind of navigating those waters, right? And just seeing what, others are doing out in the marketplace. And then at the NBA, it was a completely different conversation, at least for me, with rates going up. And we're analyzing a ton of this data behind the scenes with home equity, right? So, the key, the big talk of the town, at least from my perspective, or the tables that I sat at, was home equity and what people were doing around home equity and the need for home equity data, whether that's at the company level, the origination level, all of those things. So, it's interesting, what's going on in the marketplace. And, I had a conversation with a top executive yesterday at a top IMB, and, we were talking about, just AI just in general. And he wanted my feedback on, you do a really good job of this too, just with your audience of just looking at LO migration, LO growth, what they're doing. Everybody's worried about AI, and what that's going to do. And we're seeing trending down, the number of new originators are not coming into the space. I don't know if you know this number off the top of your head, but do you know how many real estate agents are in the marketplace today? Is it north of 4 million?
Now real estate agents or loan officers? You're talking about real estate agents. I don't know. To my knowledge, I thought the National Association of Realtors had a membership of like 1.6 million or 1.8 million. But I don't know what percentage of real estate agents are not members of the National Association of Realtors. Yeah,
I would probably say it's probably close to 2 million, and whatever's active, that's something different. But I mean, as we look at that, right, but we'll just call it, as we approach 2026, 225,000 mortgage originators, right? So look at that vast number of agents versus LOs. But really the conversation that I was having with this executive yesterday was, how AI is going to, we'll see.
So you were right. 2.1 million licensed real estate agents. Mm-hmm. And there's 1.5 million members of NAR.
Yep.
So we both were where we hit the nail on the head. I don't know why you'd be a real estate agent, a licensed realtor, and not a member of NAR. Because I always thought that being a member of NAR gave you access to the NMLS or the MLS.
And that's a whole other topic, especially everything that's going on with Zillow and the MLS and all those other things. But the conversation was around AI, and I think AI is going to really, really set the originators who adapt that technology. They're going to catapult into a different category, right? Both on the organization side that adapted from an operational flow of manufacturing these loans, and then just their outreach and all those things. So I know originators. I personally know originators that are struggling, that are actually really, really good originators in this marketplace, and they're having conversations with themselves about, do I want to be in this space long term, right? Which is sad.
So not to interrupt you. So when I go into Redder and I look at the number of loan officers, and what I do is I sort based on the number, like just anyone who did one unit.
Yep.
Let's say whatever. Let's say in the last, let's say in 2025, right? It was 220, and I just look at 225,000 LOs, and then if I went trailing 12 months, it's already reduced by 5,000.
Yeah.
And then if I just went year to date, we're looking at 168,000. So it's a massive attrition from 2025 to 2026 year to date. 100. Now I imagine my bet year to date that 168,000 is going to be pretty level between the last 3 months. So only 148,000 did a loan in the last 3 months.
Yep.
Call it 2 months, 2.5 months. If you look at 3 months. But that's those are fascinating numbers when you really sort of drill down. I actually did I wanted to know as an IMB looking to recruit loan officers across the United States. I wanted to know if our minimum is, a minimum of, 15 units a year, right? That number goes down to 22,000.
Yep.
Right. And what a lot of loan officers or what a lot of mortgage executives don't really, it's so common sense, but they don't ask the next level question. But then if you actually go to a specific, where do I go to for a specific state?
So under go up to
location
right there.
So if I wanted to, 22,000 sounds like a lot, right? But let's say a company's licensed in 6 or 7 states.
Yep.
Right. And then all of a sudden, and one feature request I'd love to be able to multi-select multiple states here.
We're working on that for you, Rick. But
if I wanted one that did about 15 units a year in Louisiana, right? All of a sudden that goes down to 136 LOs.
Yep.
And that's across all channels. Hold on, actually, that might never be true. Yeah, that's across all channels. Now, if I say to myself, I don't want to recruit from a bank because they got to be state licensed, and I don't want to give them a guaranteed salary or whatever the case may be, all of a sudden it goes from 136 down to 87 LOs.
Yeah.
So people don't understand how absolutely precise you have to be to even get one of those 87 LOs, right?
Yep.
Now, if you only did, and this is what's hard because that includes your top producers as well, and this is part of what I do. If I did, because really the top producing LOs are going to be much harder to extract, right? Because they're super comfortable. They're at New American Funding or in NFM or whatever the case may be. Yep. So let's say I want to do 15 to 20 for the last year. I'm looking at 39 LOs.
Yeah.
Right. And some companies are harder to recruit from. Interlink's easier. Vandal is easier. Cross Country's hard. Loan Depot's hard. New American Funding's hard. So as a top 25 or really a top 10 IMB, I'm looking at this saying, what is my realistic opportunity to be able to grow and to be able to add loan officers in Louisiana that meet my goal of 15 to 20 units a year, right? Because, a lot of leaders will say they lose touch with the data. They lose touch with Redder, and they'll try to be big and strong and high and mighty. And they'll say, oh, I want a minimum of 24 million a year. I want a minimum of 24 or 26 units a year. And they have no clue how difficult that really is when you look at those kind of numbers. If you look at 24 million a year, I mean, shoot, this is one of those things that drives me bananas about mortgage executives. So 24 million, you see, I've already done that, right? So 24 million, and let's just do it to 30 million, right? In the state of Louisiana, I don't know. There's none.
Yeah, just make sure you got some of those filters that aren't overlapping on that bad boy.
Let's see here. That doesn't seem to make sense, but I wouldn't be surprised. 24 million to 36. Let me just refresh it and go 24 million and up. See, that doesn't even make sense. Louisiana, there isn't a broker or an IMB. Let's just reset this.
Yeah, just reset it.
So we're looking at Louisiana, banker, broker. So I want only people from non-depository. Want to make sure I didn't toggle anything else. Right. So there's 679 LOs in the entire state. So if I went a minimum, so if I go a minimum of 24 million a year, I wonder what's going on here.
Do you have, and my screen's hard to look at on this bad boy. My eyesight's going bad, Rick. I gotta have.
No, that's right. So there's probably a filter that I have selected in here, but the reality is, oh, you know what? Because the highest producing non-depository LO in the state of Louisiana is 14 million a year at 47 units.
Yeah, so their average, there's not any, and that's what I was going to say. There's probably not that producer that's in that state doing that type of volume.
But that's the point, though, is mortgage executives will get so detached from the data, and they'll be very cavalier about wanting to grow in these target markets. And they don't understand that there isn't a single loan officer over 14,400,000 in this entire state of Louisiana that works for a non-depository.
Yeah.
So that's shocking to me, right? And to me, it's shocking to me that executives don't understand that. But to me, this is as simple as this exercise we just did. This is incredibly impactful when you're devising a 50-state retail strategy, because the strategy in Louisiana is going to be different than the strategy in Minnesota.
Yep.
And the strategy in Minnesota is going to be different than the strategy in Maine, and people just don't understand that. It's mind-boggling to me.
Well, and really, as you look at the, decrease in number of originators, getting into our space. And I tell executives this all the time. It's like, all right, what, you obviously you want to recruit these guys, but what value are you bringing to these guys? Right. Cause your IMBs, all these other stuff. So, what's your tech stack look at? And obviously the big elephant in the room right now is, what are you helping post closing for retention? Because let's just face it, everybody's out here chasing servicing, right? You've got the Two Harbors deal going on with cross country, UWM. We could probably talk for 45 minutes on that, but there's a reason why these guys want to buy that, right? So I tell executives all the time, I'm like, you have to have the tools, whether that's Redder's home value reports, whether that's something that really help these originators post engagement. Otherwise, you just become transactional, because the big servicers of the world, they're not acquiring these borrowers just to have them just hang out. They want to retain these borrowers. That they want that customer for life. So you really have to start looking at, from a recruiting standpoint, what is my tech stack? What are we doing? How are we managing the data? How are we doing some of those things? And if you think that originator is going to do that by themselves, the good ones don't have the time to do it. They're out there getting their next deal, right? They're out there doing some of those things. So, you have to invest in those guys. And, me personally, I'm a former originator. If I was looking at, NFM, I would ask those questions, right? I'm like, what are you helping post closing for me to really help me stay top of mind? And, that would be part of some of my decision makings, because look, products are product, right? For the most part, no one's doing anything really, really crazy out in the marketplace. And then you got the margin play, right? All right, what's my margins? What's my rate? Those things. So, there's a lot of people that just look at, hey, I just want to hire this body because I'm just going to get this volume, right? But the reality is like, bring some additional value to the table and say, hey, go look at inside of Redder, go look at their loan loss report, right? And we're happy to report we're going to have 2025's loan loss data out here pretty soon, here in the next couple of weeks. But if you go look at that originator and you go look at their loan loss report and you say, hey, Rick, you're at an 80% loan loss. What I mean by is 80% of your customers in 2024 didn't refinance with you, or they didn't purchase another home with you.
So let's look at a company. Let's look at Loan Depot. If I go to Loan Depot and I go to more, great company too, by the way. I'm a big fan of Loan Depot.
And they're back in the game. They're, Anthony Shade's back in the game. Yep.
2.0. No, I'm a huge fan of Alex's, and how come that's not coming up? Depot. So it must be. So I got to look at the.
Here, I'll give you their
NMLS.
Yeah. So let me give you.
I got it.
You got it.
Yep. So if I were to interpret this correctly, I would look at. So this is in 2024. So if those people who did a loan in 2024,
it's a big data pool. So
2024, you missed on 5,600 opportunities to recapture borrowers. Now those consumers did a loan in 2024. When was is it like, how many years back do you go to see like?
So we capture the borrower. So we spend a ton of money and a lot of time in building out this report. So if you go down, Rick, just go click on a borrower, right? Go click on that top loan right there, right? So what you'll see is that loan was originated. And like I said, you can kind of see that was with Loan Depot. They did, if you click up on the loan before that, above it, right? That's going to tell you above it, right? Go above it.
So no, got it. So they did a loan in 2020.
Yep.
And then with Pentagon.
Yep.
And then they did another loan with Loan Depot.
Yep. And
then they did another loan with U Mortgage. Wow.
Yep. So what we tell you there is, we'll give you a lot of information on that, but we look at borrowers' behavior on that, and we capture that. But that's eye-opening, right? So, Loan Depot's got, like I said, good products, pricing. U Mortgage is a great a great client as well, but that borrower went to U Mortgage. And Anthony Costa and those guys run a great shop over there. But that we give you that data and that insight. But you got this loan loss report. You can also go down to the LO level, right? And you can actually see those LOs that actually manage their business. So if I'm recruiting an LO, obviously I'm going to look at their data, but I also want to look at their loan loss report. There's a couple of things, right? It's going to tell me, are they good at post engagement? Your customers. And if not, that's a leg up for me if I'm operating a company that helps them with that, right? Because you can tell that story to those guys.
Yeah, that's interesting. So what when you were talking about the home equity side of it, so if I went into this, I should be able to see on some of these, not all the time, but so they did 100% LTV. So that was a $3.7 million loan. That's kind of a different animal. Yep. How would I do a home equity report?
Well, so a couple of things that we're working on the home equity, right? So you got home equity lines of credits, and then you got HE loans, right? So you got those closed-end seconds. So if you go under mortgage, right? So go under mortgage. This is not there today, but this is a feature that literally I was just talking to one of our co-founders before you and I jumped on here. If you go under find loan officers, right? You're going to see the reverse mortgage ranking.
Yep.
So we're about to put in functionality where you'll have a home equity ranking, right? So you're going to be able to see those originators doing the home equity type. Now you can get granular. We know some of the big lenders that are doing home equity out in the marketplace, right? The Figures of the world. Westcap is a big banker, big broker banker out of Southern California. But those guys,
good company, great company.
Yeah, Dan and those guys do a good job as well. I mean, I'd heard rough numbers that they were doing, and I could probably look at this data inside of Redder, but they're doing $300-400 million a month in second mortgages, right? So you could actually go down to that level and actually look at the home equity stuff. So we're getting a lot. So coming off the tail of the MBA, I went back to, you know, our
So in West Capitol, so I'm in West Capitol now. Where would I find what you were looking for?
So go to their loans. So just go down to their loans. And you can actually do loan type. Imagine that just being a big filter. Just hit that filter right there. And you can actually go down and find home equity.
So would that be under other?
Yeah. And again, I'm on a small screen right now. So under that.
So I'm wondering if it's under other. Right?
Type in that search filter to your far right. Just type in home equity.
Okay.
Now go down.
So I want, well, you could be on a development version, but what I'm thinking is, it's probably under other or reverse.
There's an equity, right? Purpose is an equity.
Yeah. Oh, under purpose.
Yep.
Okay, got
it. The purpose is equity there, and that's an equity loan, right? So they did an equity loan on that. So we're really, you know, on the tails of coming off the MBA, there's a lot of, you know, need to be able to see who's originating equity, you know, what the equity market looks like. And I can tell you, we've already summarized the data. Surprisingly, I mean, the purchase market has went down from 2024, 2025, and trending down in 2026. And the refinance share continues to pick up, but the equity share has, been around that 12%, the home equity, right? 11.5, 12%. So we haven't really seen a huge increase year over year in home equity. What that tells me, Rick, is there's a lot of closed-end seconds that are going out in the marketplace.
That's incredible.
Yep.
Because that's really interesting.
Well, and what we're also looking at is, there's a lot of borrowers that are in that 3 to 5 handle that are also refinancing out of those rates now, right? Consumer debt's at an all-time high. And if it makes sense to them, they're going to go into a 6.5% rate, right? And they're going to take cash out. They're going to let go of that, 4% rate, and they're going to go into a 6.5% rate, right? So there's a lot of people, a good salesperson will analyze that and kind of walk those guys through that. And so there's a lot of refinance activity as well as those guys are moving off of those lower interest rates.
No, that's incredible. Yeah. What would you say to be some of the other features, if you will, that let me ask you this particular report, the create and view reports, is this specific to me as a loan officer on the homes that I've done? And so it would just bring up my past closed loan pipeline?
That is correct. So as a subscriber of Redder, as an LO, right, if you go underneath more and you go under home value reports, you can actually go in and view your data. So we give every user 100 free, right?
Yeah.
Takes a couple clicks. You got to have the borrower's email address. You can customize the rate because the rate is not a recordable number. We're giving you a snapshot based off the metrics at that point in time. So you can modify that, but you can go up underneath enroll clients right there, Rick, where you have 0 right there to your far left, that little hyperlink.
On enroll past borrowers or
enroll past borrowers, just click on that. And so what you're going to, and again, my eyes are not right there.
And obviously I don't have any past borrowers because I don't originate, but
yeah, but they would be there. All of your borrowers would be there. We give you 100 free. You can go out and actually purchase more in blocks of those. But these home value reports are phenomenal, right? Fully customizable with your lovely face, your company logo, your color schemes. We give you 4 different valuation types. So we're not just, what I mean by AVMs. So your borrowers get that. It's powered by you. But there also there's insights in there. Unlock equity, request a rate quote, book a meeting, right? You have call to actions in there, and we're driving those behaviors back to, that originator to help them. Because look, the borrowers, they get tons of information. But this is a customizable report about the largest asset potentially they own. Maybe they got a ton of stock and some other stuff, but they get this report once a month. The link stays active. They can always go back into it. It's powered by the originator, and it's giving them the value. It's giving them homes nearby. And we're smart too. So we're not going to give them homes nearby that's linked into Zillow, because we know Zillow Home Loans is out there as well. So we give them that market data as well, what they can do with their equity. And they love this report. You know, we launched this early 2020.
And this is the report you're talking about that I'm looking at now, right?
Yep. So you can actually go and create, if you view the sample of it, Rick, that'll pull up a sample of what that report looks like. There's that green link.
Oh, you know what? It's funny. It launched a new browser. Hold on, let me stop sharing and then reshare. I'm just gonna do the entire screen. Good. Now you can see the whole thing.
Yeah. So this one is a sample one, right? But so it's got color schemes, it's got all that other stuff. But imagine NFM, you would have your logo, your face, all that other stuff, your color. You can click on those AVM models, right? So you can click on off of auto. It gives you those 4 different AVM models. It goes down, right? If you go down, you can unlock the equity. And then we have inside, there's your estimated equity. And that black box right there, that's all customizable. Let's just say, Rick, you wanted to drive that back to maybe free credit repair. You worked at a bank and you wanted to promote a CD or something along those lines. Those are all customizable.
So every consumer gets a page like this for their home too?
Everyone that you enroll, 100%.
Everyone, yeah, got it. So that's what you're talking about. So you get 100, you can enroll 100 of your consumers.
100.
Or of your past closed loan clients to be able to lock in.
Yep. And then you can purchase more, right? So it's all kind of on demand. You could go in and purchase more of those. But look, the open rate's 87%. I'm going to give you one customer that we mass enrolled a lot of their clients. We did a 20,000 mass enrollment 45 days ago. The open rate's north of 87%. They already have 121 loans in the pipeline for 48 million new production just by getting these home value reports. So it's a lead generation. Not only is it helping you stay top of mind with the borrower, right? They love these reports. A lot of times they don't know the equity, right? They don't know all that stuff. So we're really breaking it down for you, the originator, to stay top of mind with that customer. You're not talking about market conditions. You're giving them high level, meaningful information of the largest asset that they own, and that is their home.
You know what would be really cool as well is, let's say I'm one of your past clients and I get with this link and I'm getting tickled every once in a while to check the value because there's some market up and down to bring me back. But let's say I was looking at buying another house. It'd be cool as a consumer to be able to stay here and just search for a property, obviously owned by somebody else. Obviously I won't have access to their equity, but I'd have access to, or maybe I would, but I'd have access to at least all the different dynamics of that particular home, like comps, neighborhood comps, and, get pre-qualified to purchase that house, and maybe the listing agent or whatever, how often, in Zillow, pretty much everybody just zeroes in on this chart here on Zillow.
Yeah. Or, Redfin. So, that's why I love getting on, things like this. That's actually a great idea. So it's something I'll bring back to our developers. But, at the end, I love it.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Look, these have been what we love here at Redder is not just giving you the data, not just giving you the insight, right? It's also helping you with that portfolio retention, helping you post engagement with those clients. And our team here, we've got Anthony Salva and Jeff Burns, who's part of our HVR team. These guys love looking at our partners' data. It's like, oh my God, these guys have 100 new applications, right? Just off of our home value reports. They love looking at that because we've got customizable dashboards as well for executive teams just to know where these things are at and what's being driven in there.
Now that's incredible. What do you think the state is in just in sort of market data intelligence? Because it strikes me that everyone feels as though that the data is relatively commoditized, but the issue with that statement is that data is data, and it's more a function of how discernible it is and whether or not I know how to ask the right questions and know what to look for in the data. Just because I have a spreadsheet of data doesn't mean anything. Like, so to me, the value isn't, the data is the data, but for me, it feels like the value is more how easy and how you can pack it. You can structure the data, manipulate it in any way that you want, and be able to dig into it in a way that's meaningful for your organization,
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously we love giving the data. I mean, we give you all of our listing alerts. I mean, as an originator, you're going to know every time, almost in real time, when your previous borrowers list their property. But it's like it's like, what do you do with it? So one of the things that, as we continue to evolve, I mean, we're a 3.5-year-old company, and almost 4 years.
That's incredible.
4 years in October. And I would tell you, a year from now, we're going to look a lot different. As we really enhance our data with, signals and different things out there for the originator. I mean, that's what I love about Redder is, we listen to, our partners like you, we get that feedback, and we're like, all right, we don't just want to say, all right, here's our platform, go use it. What do you need to really help? Stephen Winans, we got him out. I'll call it, we got him out of the lab. He's really the brainchild of a lot of stuff we do here at Redder. Took him down to Housing Wire, and his sole purpose there was really just what do you need? What are you seeing out in the marketplace, and what's going to help you really move the needle? We took some information from that, and I think you'll see some much improved enhancements within our platform over the next 6 months that are really going to move the needle.
So from a pure market share perspective, do you guys have a sense of what your market share is? Like, what's the TAM in all the companies out there? What percent has no data intelligence platform? And then of those who actually have the data intelligence platform, like what percent of those use Redder? Do you have a sense of that?
Yeah. So one of the things that we started looking at is, I mean, we look at the top 100 IMBs, right? So if we look at the top 100 IMBs, and we have many, many users at companies across the country. But when we look at partnerships, right, where they've got a contract with us, right, we work with them. We're in 55% of the top 100 IMBs today. That means they're a partner of ours. When we look at brokers, right, 9 of the top 10 brokers in the marketplace are partners of ours. Banks, we are 7 of the top 15 banks are partners of ours. That doesn't mean that every user inside of every one of those, platforms use our system. That just means they're a partner of ours. We've got a contract with those guys, and, we really grow and do some of those things. But what I love about Redder, because again, I've been at the executive seat across this aisle, is if I go look at user adoption, meaning, let's just say, I'll give you a real live example. We have a company that has 500 users in our system. Just last week, 492 logged into Redder, right? That means, granted, we'd love to be at 100%, right? But, if you partner with us, people love the data. They love the insight. What I challenge people is like, you're just not going to partner with Redder and it's like, oh, I just got another, vendor, right? People use it. And what we try to do is like, don't just partner with us. Let us help your users use the system. So we do weekly trainings. We do live one-on-one trainings with our partners because we want them to provide value, right? And our retention rate within our customer base right now is over 99%. The only time we ever lose a customer is if, we M&A activity, right? One person joins another company. But almost 4 years old, we haven't lost a customer not renewing with us because they love what we do.
And is the company all self-funded? Was there any outside capital that was leveraged to initially get it going, hire some engineers?
All self-funded. And the great thing about our founders are they're the data scientists, right? So they're owner operators. So there's a lot of we've got competition out there, but it's all self-funded.
Oh, that's incredible.
And
look, there's several platforms that are out there, but I think that what has made really, I would say it was 2 factors that made me a fan of Redder, maybe 3, but the first was just the willingness to implement change. Because I remember when I first started using it about 2 years ago, it just wasn't really ready. There just wasn't a lot of flexibility, and the information just wasn't as discernible for what I was aiming to do. But within like 3 to 5 months, like of just me pounding Steven on different feature requests, within 48 hours, those feature requests were implemented, because there were actual use cases. There were, and I think the presumption was, well, if Rick is poking around trying to do it this way, there's probably 100 other Ricks out there trying to do the same thing, but just have run into a dead end and just stopped doing it, So I would say number one, it was just how responsive Steven was. And number two, just so easy. It's so easy to use. And I was just stuck in traffic, and I pulled up Redder on my phone. Somebody was asking me about somebody else, and I just quickly pulled up because they were just throwing numbers at me, and it just didn't sit right. So I just pulled up Redder quickly on my phone and I'm stuck in traffic, basically pulling up numbers and very easily without really much distraction. And the third piece is just a lot of companies like to be all things to all people, and they try to create all these dashboards and do all these things. And the cool thing about this is that it's a very, very simple tool.
Look, that's been the challenging part. I'm much like you. My relationship with Steven was, whenever I moved from a competitor over at my last company, I formed a relationship with Steven. I'm like, hey man, it would be nice if I had this. And I was using it more on the TPO side, right, to find mortgage brokers. And within 2 weeks, he had that change. But one of the things that Steven and these guys have really held true to is, look, we're not out there. We're really focused on the originators, right, and the executives with use cases there. We're not out, they're real estate agents, right? Aren't we're not selling to real estate agents, on that platform as many of our competitors are. There's nothing wrong or right about that, but our focus has been and continues to be, the IMBs, the banks, the brokers, providing that data, providing that insight, providing those tools. And like you said, making it really stupid simple with our UI to get to that. And that's the reason why the user adoption is so great. You could get lost in translation, just like with your CRMs and some other stuff, of like, there's too many dashboards, there's too many things, right? And then you just lose sight of that. So, that's been the challenging part, is there's a lot of people that are like, hey, if you had this, but if it's not going to benefit the greater good of the overall community and what our mission statement is, it's really not something we're going to launch. Otherwise it just diminishes what the UI looks like. And we're very proud of, users that are our partners, that of like how many users actually use our system, right?
Yeah.
That's the reason why our retention rate is so high. So, but data is only as good as what you do with it. And, I talk to originators all the time. In my former life, I had an originator who's he was a grinder. And for a year, he used Redder, and he called 25 new agents in New York, right? 25 new agents a day. He year over year, not only did he gain new agents, right? Because you have the contact information, all their data. Now, we did a lot of co-ops, in my previous life. So there were some specialty products there that opened some doors for him. But he increased his fundings year over year in a really tough market, over 50 million, just by using Redder, right? Just by using Redder and going in to use the data in the system.
Yeah. What is there anything next? Like what would you say to be the next big announcement at Redder?
We're working on our API, right? We've got, pushing that data in some different fashions. We have an API today. It's kind of phase one with some stuff, and we have, a select few partners that are on that API. Signals is going to be next, just on, updating some signals. And we have some stuff today that are working on there. Obviously we talked about the home equity and some of those things, but we'll continue to evolve and work on some stuff. But the API on getting data into, our partner CRMs and some other stuff for them to do some outreach and some other things.
No, that's good. What are the next conferences that you're going to attend?
I'm not going to be at the one in Vegas, the masterminds, but we've got some stuff there going on. I'd have to look at it. We are Dustin over at T-Lop, we're happy to be a sponsor of his cruise that's going on in September. So we've got that. We have really, really invested a lot of time and money into our partners, right? Whether they're doing sales rallies or some other stuff. So we do those quite often within our partners, right? We try to sponsor as much as we can within their own stuff, but we pop into those shows.
That's incredible. Yeah, I'm going to be going to possibly Mastermind. I'm going to be going to, the Western Secondary in August, certainly the Housing Wire AI conference in August, which hopefully you'll be at. July is kind of a dead month. There is, I have a tool that I use to see if I can find it here. Chrome tab. It's weird.
Are you doing the the INN down in Dana Point, June 15th, 16th?
Oh, the non-QM conference.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about it. I thought about it. It's kind of hard to. See, this is every conference in the United States, and so we have certainly the MISMO conference June 1st, which I'm not going to attend. But there's the Residential Mortgage Securitization Forum, MBA Chairman's Conference. But the IMN non-QM Forum in Dana Point is on the 15th. If you want access to this, I can certainly give you access.
Yeah. Shoot that. Shoot that to me for sure.
Yeah, I'll send you. No, it's a great tool. I've been able to. I have a lot of people who've asked for access to it, and if there's conferences that you feel that I'm missing that should be on it, I'll add it. But this is the Mastermind conference here in Vegas. But what it does is, what I like about it is that it gives you access to with the hotel it's at, when it begins, when it ends. It's just a really cool. It's a cool tool.
Shoot that over to me. I'd love to take a look at it. We try to attend as many as we can. That's for sure.
No, man, I love this, and I really do, appreciate, you having this quarterly touch point. My hope and goal would be to try to have these types of touch points, once a quarter, just to get a sense of where Rudder's going, what new features are added, and what things that could be utilized that simply aren't,
Yep. Well, look, I love you having us on here, and I think you will attest to this. I mean, I pick up my phone, basically 24 hours, 24 hours a day. So, even if you're not a partner and you need something that's going to help you, I mean, look, we're one big community out here in the mortgage space. So, we try to help each other. You do a really good job of that as well. I pride myself on being a resource for anyone who, needs anything out in the marketplace. Yeah.
What's so weird is when I was recording this, I just think we mind share. We work really well together. We vibe. I think we genuinely align really closely on our view of data. And I think AI kind of rewarded that, because when I uploaded this into AI, like this happened, and I don't know how that happened. So I don't know how it happened, but somehow.
Dude, you got the Hooper hair, brother. Look at that.
So I don't know. I think we gotta go on the road with that.
I like it. I like it.
Well, look, I really appreciate the time, and I look forward to having you back here in about 2 to 3 months, and I look forward to continuing to see how Rudder either continues to evolve in market share or evolves in feature and functionality.
Well, look, I'll tell you, we wouldn't be where we are without people like you. So we appreciate the partnership. Being an ambassador for us out in the marketplace, and obviously you wouldn't do that if you didn't find value in it, right?
Well, I'd be operating in a very dark room, without the ability to turn the lights on in the industry. With a tool like Rudder. If I didn't have that, I'd be literally wandering in the dark. So
we're like Motel 6, man. We'll keep the lights for you.
Yeah. Hey, man, I really appreciate you. Appreciate the time. Appreciate your leadership. Say hi to Steven and the crew for me.
You got it.
Make it a great week. Talk to you
too,
soon,
brother.
man.
We'll see you. Take care. All right, bye.